floored. So, is it your was it just you who made it? Great. Well, I really applaud your decision to make a film in this way. Decide that you're going to film a process with one person, and that he's going to tell your story, and we're going to learn something, which we absolutely did. And how long did it take you to make that?
Well, it was spontaneous, really. It was his mother who said, "Have you seen the nice panels that Tim's making? It's down in the shed." So I went down there and had a look, and I said, "Oh, I'm making a little film of this, Tim. Just carry on and tell me what you're doing." And I did it that way, you know. And the some of the shots I didn't, but he was very good. He tended to repeat himself, as you know. But you can't rehearse things like that, because if you say, "Can you say that again?" then it becomes old. So it's very much on the fly and done very quickly.
Yeah, so it was an observational piece. I think we probably all agreed that it was tantalising to see him drive off. You'd chosen to show us what some finished work looked like. You dropped in some shots, and the one thing we didn't see...
I said to him, "Tim," because I couldn't come to London anyway, I don't know who was doing it for, and if I'd been reluctant to let me go in the house, doing local and film. I said, "Take a few pictures when you go down there." "Right, I'll do that," he said. And then he came back and said, "Oh, it's terrible." And that was it. Because I would have liked to finish with the floor in situ.
Well, in a way, you know, you could have had, it would have been almost like a funny little coda. You could have, you know, "So Tim, how did it go?" "It was terrible."
Yeah.
It would have given you an ending, but a simple little film that shows what can happen. He was unself-conscious, which was great as well, because I think last year we watched a very good film with one of the people talking to camera. It was just a bit awkward, you know. It's very few people are comfortable in front of a camera, myself included. But you obviously put him at his ease, and he talked us through it, and it was quite relaxing. And I thought your use of sound was very good too. I know Alan's got a couple of remarks, you know, it came in jarring a little bit, but you set us off with something. You know, you got our attention from the beginning with the chainsaw, and I really remember the sound of his hand on the wood. It was, you know, it's very, very tactile, you know, and so that gave us a sense of the materials he was working with. So those were the elements that I thought worked very, very well. I'm going to pass now on to...
Have a glass of water, please.
Tessa.
So, flawed. There were some things that worked well for me. I really did learn how to... In fact, I came away from that film thinking, I could do that. That looks like such an easy process. You know, it looks
Making
like...
the floor?
Yes, putting together blocks. And I had no idea, to be honest, before watching that film, how it was actually done. So it's interesting it's done in those squares. And so it does its trick in terms of showing you the process. Again, my message to you is, who's the audience and why are we making the film? So I just think about that one. I do have some other specific feedback for you, of things that would help. So if you had filmed him from the other side of the table, he would have been looking towards us as he's referring to the work. So because you were behind him and the table was behind him, he was for a lot of the time turning away from the camera. So, and that was right from the start. So, and if you watch those makeover shows on the television, they will do that. They'll talk to the person with the work in between, so that when they're referring to something, they're not going back there or back there. They're holding it up or this. So that's one trick. Is to think very carefully about your position in relation to him. The other thing is, it was quite a long time, and this is a message I gave last year, before we got any eye contact from him. So, and I think that was partly because we were behind him, and he was looking back here, and then he was looking back there. So if at the beginning you've set up, the camera is here, and I'm here, and then you're talking to him from that one place, and immediately you've got that eye contact, and I think you could have come in with starting with a closer shot. So we've begun to build a relationship with him. I agree that his voice, that his narrative style was very relaxed, and he got it exactly right. I mean, he was talking, and that level of, he was talking to us as if you were describing it to me now, you just talk normally, and he was using a normal pace of speech. He had it spot on. So really well presented. Think about your camera angles. The other trick I would say is that there was a bit of, he described something to us, then we saw it happening in close-up, and then he described it again. And what I'd say is, if you're showing something being done, what they would normally do is you'd have the person describing it, and then we'd cut away. So while he's still talking about it, we'll see the close-ups of the things being slotted into place. So a bit more on the editing. So you've recorded the interview, it's worked well. At the editing stage, cut away from him visually, leave his voice running, and illustrate what he's actually describing to us. And then the fact actually that he's turning away a lot you could have covered that up a bit with some of the visuals. I think those were my main things, and also some of your angles. So there's some lovely shots you could have had, like when he's hammering. If you'd had a closer shot of the hammer, you were quite a wide. Some of the shots are quite wide and far away. If you're closer, you get a real sense, and from his point of view. So redo those at the end. Get him to have to do another one where you're just doing close-ups, looking over his shoulder from his point of view, hammering, rather than looking at it, really from his point of view and close-up. So what he's actually seeing as he's doing that. And in the garage there was quite a lot of clutter around, and if you'd been a bit closer on some of those shots, we would have been less distracted. But really well done. So I talked a lot there.
Lovely flooring. Expensive flooring, isn't it? I bet it is. It's very nice. I've got a note here. Why are people afraid of close-ups? You had a wide shot him all the time. Well, I would, if you want to remake the film, I would have shot him doing all that to camera, taken his narration out, somehow put his narration under, and then get him to do what he was doing. And also, a lot of and this applies to a couple of the films today, shooting down and not level. I mean, a tripod will go down here, a tripod will go down here, level with the table, which would have been much better. And you had that lovely saw at the beginning that you could have gone right in on the blade as it came down with the sound. That would have been a really good opening. And it would have been nice to see a montage, I think, across Dissolve, of how it went from putting it together. You could have crossed it to... It didn't look as if he was putting any... when you varnish it, does it? But there must have been 3 or 4 stages at which it would have been... he started doing that and then it stopped.
Well, of course, they're all glued down afterwards. So
but all that could have been done. If you'd shot a lot of close-ups, you could have put all that in a montage of shots or cross dissolves, which would have been much better. And I'd like to have heard his voice under rather than seeing him talking to the camera, because it was very overexposed, because I think the way you were facing. But you could have done that in post and taken down the darks, the lights and darks. But interesting film, and it was nice to see how it's done.
We did also make the point when we were talking about this film earlier, how we really liked, and you, Kate particularly mentioned it, how we really liked how you'd cut in those shots of the
examples of that sort of fine work in fine house. So if you put it in context, with a craft that was being practiced now in a shed, and look where it ends up. That was really effective.
It was the French Palace, wasn't it? It was, yeah. But what?
Copyright here, those are downloaded from the internet.
Oh, right, well, that's fine. But also, you close the doors. It took a long time to close the doors. And I thought the doors are going to close, we're going to go up the M1 and we're going to suddenly be in London or wherever he was doing it. But we didn't. That was the end of the film.
But that was, right at the end, it was a terrible overexposure because it was focused on the darkness of the lamp.
Oh, right, yes.
And it got terrible overexposed. And it was quite difficult to resolve that.
Well, I don't know how many filmmakers are here, but I noticed a lot of the stuff. It was either on autofocus, a lot of the stuff today, because it did go up, vary. I mean, you should never really use autofocus. I mean, stop down and.
Well, that was my first experiment.
Oh well, it was very good.
DSLR camera.
And to be fair,
what did you shoot it on? What did you shoot it on?
It was a DSLR camera, the Sony.
Oh right.
And to be fair, to you, he was already working in the garage, and presumably you didn't want to hold him up too much by setting up the camera. So that shoot and go is tricky. Yes.
But I don't think he needed actually to talk to the camera. If he just set a microphone up and shot him doing what he was doing, with lots of close-ups and hands and things he was doing, and then just put his voice over where it mattered on the finished editing. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done.